Joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show is the host of Double Cross with Blake Griffin. That's going to air Friday and Saturday, March 19th and March 20th, inside NCAA coverage on TruTV, and now a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Blake Griffin, how are you, Blake?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I just called you by your new title, not just as a host of a show, but by the of the Brooklyn Nets. And which one do you want to talk about first, Blake? I'll give you dealer's choice. Which one do you want to hit first?
Whatever you want to talk about, man. Your
Look,
show.
it's my shit. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've spoken to Jeff Ross, Jeffrey Ross, the great roastmaster general, who says you work very, very well comedically on the fly. So that's why I kind of wanted to throw that.
This was like an improv. This is like an improv.
Well, I guess. I mean, normally as you pointed out, it's like whose show is it anyway? And you pointed out, I guess it's mine, but I figured I'd give you that.
Well, let's talk basketball first, because that's always on the front of my mind.
Okay, so let's talk some ball first. Before we get to the Nets part of it, the Pistons part of it, I've honestly never heard of too many situations like the one that you were going through. I guess Andre Drummond as well in Cleveland, where was it essentially in Detroit where it was like we agree that this is going to be some sort of end of a relationship and we don't want to play you until we know you're gone so you don't get hurt? Is that literally the way it went in Detroit?
No. I mean, first of all, I have a great relationship with Arntelm over there, who runs everything for them, and have a ton of respect for him. They just came to me and said, like, hey, listen, we're going in a different direction. We're like, this is pretty much a full rebuild. I think this year, they had kept Derek Rose and I on, and they wanted us to sort of like, training camp mentor and help out. We had so many young guys, so many new guys, and they want us to be there for that. And we did that, and Derek had made the decision that he wanted to try to play for a playoff team and play more minutes somewhere, and they honored that. And then Arn came to us and sort of said, like, hey, this is where we're at. You can do whatever you want. As far as we're going to sit you some, but you can kind of do whatever you want, and we all felt it was best to let these guys like move forward and play these young guys, which they wanted to do, and work something out that benefited both of us, and moving on. So I'm grateful to that organization, Arntelm in particular, for just being a open, honest, and dealing with this like he did.
Well, he's one of the more legendary former agents or agents in the league. So obviously he's been there and done that in terms of player relationships and things like that. So the way that it was termed, similar to what maybe playing out with Andre Drummond in Cleveland, just to bring him up one last time here, that is not the case. It was not a similar situation for you and what seems to be going on for him there.
I honestly, I don't know like his particular situation to detail, but a little bit different, I believe.
Okay. And so now in terms of working out, my gosh, the Brooklyn Nets, Blake, this is talk about an amazing team that seems to be getting more and more amazing. How did you wind up with the Nets? Was it as simple as you're seeing what they're putting together and you wanted to go give yourself a best shot at a ring right now, or were there other teams that are in the mix for a championship that you had a chance to hook up with? If you wouldn't walk me through the process.
There was definitely other teams. It wasn't an easy decision by any means, but I've known Katie, James, DeAndre, obviously, and Kai for a long time, and you always think about playing with different guys, and ultimately just made the decision that I thought was best for myself. So I'm excited for the opportunity. I mean, obviously they're a great team, and I'm happy to be a part of that organization.
And so did any of those guys reach out to you and hit you on your phone? And was there any recruiting that went down?
Well, not until the appropriate time, because that was tampering. But yeah, I spoke to them.
Well, I guess when you were bought out, when the buyout hit and you were free, I mean, they were able to hit you up and start talking to you on that front. Did they do that? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I talked to from all the teams, I talked to several guys. So yeah, it was like I said, it was a tough decision.
Sure.
But I just went with what I thought was best.
How do you think it's going to work? I mean, what is your role? I imagine you've spoken to Steve Nash already. What is the role that you have? Do you think?
I have. I think they need a four. And sometimes they'll play a small ball five, and I'm there to help however I can. I think at this point in my career, I've able to sort of fit sort of different roles, and um, you know, my whole goal is to help this team win like every year. But obviously, the teams that I was looking at, they're real chances to do that. So I was appreciative of all the teams, but I'm excited to be a net.
Of course. And how many teams were there? I don't want to obviously don't want to put you in a position to name names, but how many grand total teams were there?
I like at the sort of end of it, I narrowed it down to four teams. So all four great teams and great organizations, but like I keep saying, tried to make the right decision.
Okay. And then before we again move to double cross with Blake Griffin, if I had told you when you left the Clippers that you'd be teammates with DeAndre Jordan once again one day, but you'd also be teammates at the same time with Harden, Durant, and Kyrie Irving, you would have told me what?
When I left the Clippers, honestly, I would have been like, on, anything can happen after this happens. So I guess I'd be inclined to believe it. Anything can happen in this league. So now we're here.
So I guess throwing Steve Nash on as the coach is the cherry on top. That still wouldn't phase you.
No, I'd still believe it. I'd still believe it. I'd still believe. Just keep throwing more.
No, it's just insane though. It really is when you put it all together, Blake. It really is.
It is. In all seriousness, that just seems like it would never happen. Especially because at the time, like everybody's in different spots.
Of course.
You know what I mean? So for it to first come together where it's Katie and Kyrie and then, James and, Steve coming in the summer, it is nuts. I was mostly kidding, but at the same time, that is this league that we're in today. You see crazy stuff happen.
I've got Blake Griffin here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk double cross with Blake Griffin. It's going to air on TruTV at a major time during NCAA coverage on the Friday and Saturday of the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. It's a prank show. Are you pranking just regular, good old fashioned Americans, or anybody that we know of here, Blake?
Mostly from what I know, most people were Americans.
Very good. Yes.
What we did with this is we keep things right here in America. What we did is we took people who are normally the ones pranking their friends, significant others, whoever it was.
Right.
And we sort of flipped the script on them. We said like, hey, do you want to prank somebody? Like, are you a good prankster? And they're like, yes, I prank this person all the time. We went to the other person, was like, hey, your friend's gonna prank you. Do you want to get him back? And that's the idea of the show is sort of a prank within a prank, and flipping the script on people who are always doing the pranking. So it allows for us to cover everything a little bit better because everybody thinks they're in on the prank.
Yes.
And it turned out it was a lot of fun. We shot it really quickly, and not really quickly, but we shot it. We were able to shoot it in a condensed amount of time and get everything we wanted.
What's the best prank you've ever pulled off on anybody that we might know of in the NBA?
Honestly,
you got a good one?
In the NBA.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be careful. You can't go too far with NBA pranks. It's just a bunch of and everybody has sort of unlimited resources to get you back. So you kind of have to make sure you're really going for it. I've pranked a lot of my friends, most of which we probably can't share on this.
Okay. So you have to make sure that you prank somebody with not NBA resources to hose you back with.
That's why everybody pranks the rookies and they put peanuts in their car and they make them do all this stuff. Just because they're not, they haven't figured out the ins and the outs and how to get people back or they're scared.
Now, I wasn't joking at the beginning of this conversation, Blake, that Jeffrey Ross, I've known him almost 20 years.
Mhm.
And for his show where he was roasting history, there was like a premiere pre-COVID, and you were there. I mean, obviously you stand out in a crowd, Blake. And I said to him, like, what's Blake Griffin doing here? And he literally said he's one of the funniest guys I know, and said that you could have a career in comedy if you so chose to do it. Is that
Wow.
what you'd want to do? Would you want to do something like that, Blake?
I don't think that I'm necessarily going to do comedy. My whole thing is like I don't want to. I'm friends with Jeff as well, and I have other friends who do comedy, and I've been such a big fan for a long time. I don't want to skip these steps. I know how hard it is to get to where guys like Jeff Ross are, and they've
Right.
gone and bombed in rooms and done open mics, and they've really earned everything to get there. So what I sort of try to focus on is like doing projects like this where I get to give our actors that were in on everything a platform to show their talent. Or I have a charity event every year that's a stand-up charity event, and I get to invite 6 comedians who I think are really funny and give them a platform to do comedy. So that's sort of my whole stance when it comes to comedy is I don't want to take time away from somebody else. I want to try to give them the platform to reach more people or to get their stuff out there.
So are you thinking about your post-playing career platform already? I mean, is that what something like this is about, Blake? I mean, you're still a young man.
I mean, yeah. I mean, since I came in, I think they hit us over the head so much when we came in. It's like prepare for retirement now. The average career is 4 years. So early
Right.
on, I mean, even like my draft class, I remember like talking to other guys, and like everybody had started, doing this so long ago. And I have as well. And I think it's so smart because you just never know. But also at the same time, there's no harm in getting into something that you like and showing people like, hey, I'm passionate about this. This isn't just like oh, I'm retired, I have to do something now. So that's sort of the approach.
Before I let you go, and as I know you're talking to more people again about your show Double Cross with Blake Griffin, did you watch the NBA slam dunk competition, Blake? And how does somebody who's jumped over a car for such a thing view the competition these days?
I did watch. I thought like to me, Cassius Stanley's first dunk was
Yeah,
like
amazing.
I don't know how somebody gave him an 8. I I don't even. I don't know how he got one of the lowest scores on that dunk, but like it's up to the judges. I am obviously biased, and I have a soft spot for guys that are in the dunk contest because it's not easy. And you miss a dunk, and then you start to panic, and you're like, I got to just get something down. I thought it was good. I thought it was fun to watch. I mean, it didn't quite have the theatrics that we've seen
Right.
before, but I also don't know that they were necessarily allowed to do all that because of given the climate that we're in, and also it was at halftime. Like,
That's great.
well, they should have. I think they should have done it differently. But
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think Cassius Stanley's like, all right, I'm going to come out, I'm going to make an impact, and then he nailed it. I mean, then he nailed it, and then got hosed. I think that got in his head the
yeah,
rest of the competition. I
and
think
then
it really did.
missing like I think he missed like his first couple of attempts on a second dunk, and that I think that hurts too because you like I said you get flustered. But the thing is like afterwards, like years later when they show this dunk contest, they're not going to show all the misses. You know what I mean? So
That's
you might
right.
as well just keep going until you get that one dunk that you did and not move to a new one.
Blake, congrats on Double Cross with Blake Griffin. Everyone should check it out on Friday, March 19th, Saturday, March 20th, inside NCAA on TruTV. I appreciate it, Blake. Let's do this a little bit more often if you don't mind, and catch up with you down the road as you no doubt hit playoff basketball this year with the Nets.
Awesome.
Congrats on that.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. That's Blake Griffin at Blake Griffin 23 on both Twitter and Instagram, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.